Dear colleagues, for your patience and the ability to wait for our guests. Now it's my pleasure to invite here Natalya Voronkova and Yarova, activists of the public initiative Volunteers SOTNYA. They are trying to organize and coordinate support to the wounded heroes. They will describe how they manage to provide support, assistance, and aid to the victims. Good afternoon. I'm Natalya Voronkova. I'm the activist of the volunteers SOTNYA. At the very beginning, I worked as the volunteer in the medical emergency service on Maidan. And now, at this moment of time, the help and assistance is needed to the ATO soldiers and participants. That's why we are very grateful to the Ministry of Defense and to the hospitals all around Ukraine who allow us to assist them. We deal with the Kiev City Hospital, military hospital in Irpin, in Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Zhytomyr, Vinnytsia, Odessa. In Dnipropetrovsk, we contact not only with the military hospital, but also the hospital named after Mechnikov. We have coordinators and representatives in those hospitals, and our role is to coordinate assistance as quickly as possible. For example, if a hospital lacks some medicines, some drugs, they can inform us and we can provide necessary medicine. Probably now you know that in Kharkiv, who was terribly wounded in result of fire, and now we are coordinating a special medical care needed to this soldier. We are very grateful to the to hospitals and Ministry of Healthcare because they allowed us to have premises where we can have storages of medicines. Also, we were provided with the premises where we organized accommodation for relatives of those soldiers who are wounded, and thus relatives can stay close to their soldiers. Also, we are able to accommodate volunteers who voluntarily assist in the hospitals. We are very grateful to the to those doctors, to surgeons who provided surgery operations 24 hours during 3-4 days, and now we provide necessary amenities for wounded people. For example, the victims require special medical aids. Sometimes this requires sponsors' assistance. Recently, we have got a SOTNYA participant who was terribly wounded, and the treatment required 10,000, 15,000 hryvnia per day, and we are very grateful to Biopharma, who provided this medical those medicines freely, which allowed to save life for this guy. I'm very grateful to Biopharma company who provided us with necessary medicine, not just for this very guy, but with drugs and medical aids for other soldiers. Now we have established contacts with other pharmaceutical companies. I'm also very grateful to those Kiev residents who follow our information on Facebook, and when there is some medicine urgently needed, they get it very promptly and bring it to our centers. Next, very important thing that there are several problems which should be resolved at the governmental level. There are some soldiers who arrive to the hospitals without any documents, and since they are unconscious when they get to the hospitals, some of them are believed to be deserters in their units, while they are simply wounded there in hospital. The second big problem are interests for loans and settlement of loans for those soldiers who suffered as victims in ATO. For example, some of them become disabled in result of ATO. There should be other interest, vacations and paying interest, or resettle the credit. Some credit settlement is needed, and many ATO participants or parents of ATO participants say that they are unable to repay their loans because they have disabled children who are participants of ATO. The next issue, there is medical insurance, because we do not see it actually active. And also, we would request the government should provide some financial support who suffered in result of ATO, who became disabled and who require costly treatment, and their parents who earn not aged parents who are aged. How many wounded people do you have in Kiev hospital? We have 60 wounded people. In Irpin hospital, we have 30 soldiers. I think it will be more correct to request for this information from the Ministry of Defense. Our public platform, our public initiative is gaining more public awareness, and we have heard that somebody is collecting money. We would like to foresee that on Facebook there is in Russian written Volonterskaya SOTNYA, and details of Dana's card where the money are collected, and there were money which we received from Moscow, and the comment was with the love from Moscow, with love. And an hour ago, a woman called to me from Lugansk, and she said, she said to me, I want to send money via PayPal system, and PayPal gathers money throughout the world, from Canada, from the USA, from Moscow, etc. My question is probably to Dana. I'm Dmitroholuk from Union. You mentioned that there is no mechanism how to get medical insurance for the policy of medical insurance for the ATO participants. And could you please explain more what do you mean under the lack of mechanism? Am I correct when I understand that those who were slain, their relatives has got something? No, 600,000 hryvnia were allocated by the president, by the presidential decree, to the relatives of those who were slain in the plane last week, but this is something different. I don't know how it will work. But for example, a wife of one of the wounded soldiers reported me that the relatives were promised to get some money for treatment after the ending of ATO, but the soldier requires rehabilitation now, and he requires treatment now, not later. What I wanted to say is that we are now covering the treatment costs in the hospital when they stay in the hospital. When those guys will leave the hospitals, they will again require further rehabilitation. They will require further treatment and treatment abroad. If a military man has got a wound or has suffered a wound during the ATO, to what amount of money he is liable? Actually, those facts were announced several days ago, and now we have appointed a meeting with the Minister of Defense. We will ask him questions about their assistance and their aid to the wounded soldiers, and we will coordinate our assistance. Besides our assistance and aid to the wounded soldiers, to the soldiers wounded in ATO, we also provide assistance to the tortured people who require medical assistance in result of tortures. Our structure is multiple and complicated. That is, we provide some means of personal protection to the ATO. We provide assistance to the wounded people. We deal with the refugees from the ATO area. Just a couple of days ago, I received a call from Germany, and she told me, you know, my aunt is in the ATO area, and she has a husband who has a blood pressure attack, and who cannot move, and that woman cannot be evacuated. I called to this woman. She told me, the building is empty, and except of them, but she was alone without no possibility to evacuate her husband who cannot move. Fortunately, this was 2 days ago. I was feeling very terrible that it looked like I was unable to provide assistance. But today they are rescued. How many people work as volunteers? For example, I have main coordinators in Kharkiv, Roman and Yarina. And how many people provide volunteering assistance to them? I do not know. So our address is in Russian, in Facebook, Volonterskaya Sotnya. You can in Russian. You can find all the information and all reports about spending of funds. We have professional medical staff, pharmaceutical staff, medical staff, and our staff working in the hospitals. They are professional Medicare personnel when there is a need, we provide up to 6 medical workers per each department in the hospital. And the major requirement of hospitals in this case is that those volunteers should have medical education, medical background. As for the list of the goods, medicines, and things needed for people, yes, the list is updated on daily basis. But if, in case there is some urgent need, we write it as source information. For example, we were provided with special medical pads for those who stay in bed permanently, and we have got 7 such special pads from Italy. Now I would like to use this opportunity to address to the owners of medical companies and to draw attention that the hospitals in the east of Ukraine, which are in ATO area, they require medicines, drugs, etc. Do you have a statistics how many wounded soldiers have finished their treatment as hospitals? As of the moment, they are not so numerous. When after the urgent treatment of the most heavy wounded soldiers in Kiev hospital, then they are evacuated to Irpin. Unfortunately, as of the moment, we expect to get the border guard soldiers, and they expect to have heavily wounded soldiers from the border guards. Thank you very much for your press briefing. That was really interesting information. I would request from you to provide successful stories and publicize pictures. No, we have no right to put their pictures. Also, I would like to add that those guys who stayed in neurosurgery reanimation unit, they showed positive dynamics in the treatment in coming to normal condition, and the dynamics remains positive, and now we have hope for their successful treatment. I hope that people have heard you, that you require volunteers' hands. 050 6333195. You may ask questions about the most urgently needed medicine. Thank you very much. Hope we will see you once again with good news. Today's working day is over.